Hey everyone, welcome back to our series on creating your own decentralized application on Ethereum. We're building a censorship-proof decentralized message board, and today we're going to start building the web application side of our decentralized application, our DApp. So what we're going to do is we're going to build some HTML and some JavaScript that allows people to interact with the smart contracts that we built in the last video in this series. And if you haven't watched the other videos in this series, go check them out. They're on my channel. Make sure to subscribe for the next videos in this series. I got a ton more planned. And if you're all caught up, let's check it out. All right, y'all. So in the last video, we wrote our smart contract. We tested it. Like I said, today we're going to get into the JavaScript, into the HTML. We're going to see how users will actually interact with your DApp once you push it live out on the internet. So first things first, let's open up Atom and let's go into our Ethboard project. And we're going to go into the app directory and we're going to open up the index.html, which is the boilerplate HTML code that comes when you start a new Embark project. And so we can see here we've got just kind of a basic web page. We're going to make some edits here to turn it into a message board. So the first thing we're going to do is let's change the title. Oops. Right, we gotta have the title, gotta have that SEO when people look for the Ethboard. And then welcome to Embark. No, welcome to Ethboard. Right? And we just get rid of this line here. So the first thing we're going to set up is a input field that allows you to write a message to the message board. So how do we do that? Let's create a container, div ID equals write message. And inside this container, we'll have a header that says write a message. So everyone knows what to do here. Then we'll have an input. And that input will have a button next to it that says submit. And that'll allow people to send their message. And don't worry, we're not going to add in any inline code here that actually interacts with the blockchain. We're going to do that all in JavaScript in a second once we get this set up. All right, so there's how we write our message. Next, how do we read our message? Create another container here. Just call it read message. Read messages, rather. And we'll say read all messages. And here we'll have another button that says refresh. And then finally, we're going to add one last container here to hold the messages once we retrieve them from the blockchain, and we want to show them on the web page. So we'll just call that messages. Real simple, right? Super simple. This isn't a HTML, CSS, JavaScript type tutorial. There's a lot of great tutorials of those online. I don't know if it's still around, but I recommend HTML Dog. I think that's a really good one for beginners if you're unfamiliar with HTML and CSS and all that. Anyway, so that's it. That's our web page. Let's go ahead and save that. And let's start it up and take a look at it. Make sure it looks okay. So we're at our YouTube Ethboard project folder, and we've got our latest version of Node activated. Of course, go in the previous video, first video in this series, if you want to know how to get that set up. And we're just going to say Embark run. That's going to go ahead and start up Embark, which will start up the blockchain. It's going to package our HTML and our JavaScript and our CSS and all that stuff. It's going to start up a little web server, and it's going to allow us to check out our web page here. All right, so you can see here, screen's a little bit smushed. We can't see the status. Let me try. Can I fix that? There we go. So we got status building. We'll wait for that to finish, and then we'll go into let's see, go to Chrome here, localhost. Embark is building, please wait. All right, so here's our webpage. Welcome to Fboard, write a message, read a message. Nothing happens though, right? Nothing happens, so. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're going to write the JavaScript side of everything. This is where we're gonna actually interact with the Ethereum blockchain. So we'll go into the JavaScript folder here in the app folder in our Embark project. We'll go to index.js. And so the first thing you wanna do here is import your contracts. So we'll go ahead, oops, I got caps lock on. We'll import message board from Embark contracts message board. That's the name of our contract, is message board. And the first thing we're going to do, if you've used JavaScript before, we're going to want to use jQuery just to make doing all this stuff a little bit easier. jQuery is like super common JavaScript library. Everyone loves it, I think. So we'll go ahead and import $, which is the jQuery kind of their official symbol, or I don't know what you would call it, official character. And if you don't have jQuery installed and you run this and you get an error, just go ahead and do npm install, I think it's jQuery @3, something like that. You can look it up online, how to install jQuery with NVM, or NPM rather, Node Package Manager. Get that installed, you'll be good to go. So the first thing we're going to do here is classic JavaScript document ready function. What this is when the web page loads, we're going to run this function. And the function that we're going to run is we're going to attach to our write message container the button within that container. This is called a jQuery selector. So the button within the write message container, we're going to add what's called a click handler. What is a click handler? When you click it, we want it to do something. So when we click the button to write a message, it's going to do something. What is it going to do? It's going to call a method on our contract. Just like in our tests, we use pretty much the exact same code, messageboard.methods.writeMessage, which is the name of the function in the contract. And what message are we going to write? We'll use jQuery again. We'll go back into that write message container and we'll grab the input. And we're going to grab what's inside that input, the value. And then we're going to send that transaction. So what do we do here? When the web page loads, we're going to attach a function to our write message submit button. When you click it, it's going to call the write message function in our smart contract, and it's going to call it with the value in the input field. Yeah, perfect. All right. Also, we're going to want to attach a click handler to our read messages button, our refresh button. So just like before, read messages button. When we click it, we're going to call a function. What is that function going to do? It's going to read the messages. Now, reading the messages is a little bit more complicated, so I'm not going to do it all inline here. We'll just say read messages. Now let's define that function, read messages. How are we going to read the messages? Now, before when we ran the tests, we could call that read message, or rather the public messages variable, we could call it locally with the index, message 0, message 1, message 2, remember that? So right now we want to read all the messages. Now, we're going to have a problem here because we don't know how many messages there are. So for right now, we'll just get the, let's say, 5 messages. So we're going to use a for loop to do that. So for I = 0, I <5, I++, classic for loop. And we'll read that individual message. Now let's define that function. Read message, message index. What is this going to do? First thing we want to do is let's empty out the messages container. So if there's any messages in there already, because this is a refresh, go ahead and clear them out. And then the next thing we're going to do is call the messages function. The messages function is defined in our contract by having the array messages be a public variable, if you remember that from the last video, or maybe 2 videos ago. No, it was the last video. All right, anyway. And which message are we going to read? Whatever message we ask it to in this function, and we'll go ahead and call that. And then, so what we're going to do here is once we get that result, we're going to use this then function to go ahead and write that into the HTML. And so we declare a function, and what we're going to want to do is take that messages container and we're going to append the new message. And we'll do super simple here. We'll make it its own little container per message. And we're good to go. All right, so in this file here, just to review, when the web page first loads, we attach click handlers to each of our buttons. And the first one writes a message. The second one reads all the messages. So we'll go ahead and save this. And then once we save it, we'll go back to Embark here, and you can see as soon as you save it, it detects the change and it rewrites the files. And then it tells you that you have an error because I forgot to write the word from here. Fantastic. So we save it again, go back to Embark. Let's see if it works this time. It's writing the files. It's thinking, it's thinking. It says ready. Is it actually ready? Let's find out. Go ahead and refresh this. Oh, it's still building. You get this lovely animation while it builds. Very nice. It's thinking very hard. Not sure what it's thinking so hard about. Oh, there's a problem. What's the problem here? Browser doesn't, jQuery doesn't exist. Huh? What did I do wrong? All right, well, I'll believe it. So we'll go ahead and exit. I typed exit right there. If you couldn't see it, it was off the screen. And I've installed jQuery before, but we'll install it again. npm install jQuery at 3. Tac save. It didn't save, but we'll see. Oh, you know what? It was in a different project, so I hadn't installed it in this project yet. So I love how I explained it earlier and then actually ran into the problem myself. I must be psychic or something. All right, so go ahead and rerun Embark. And hopefully this time everything works out well. Oh, blockchain process ended. I'll just rerun it again. Sometimes that happens. I'm not exactly sure why, but usually just restarting it fixes it, as you can see here. So it's compiling our contracts, and then it's going to package up the CSS, which is the default CSS from this project, our web page, and our JavaScript. Also, it deployed our contracts for us automatically. It's fantastic. That's why I like Embark. All right, so we'll go back to our web page. We'll reload it. We're going to write a message. Hello, YouTube. Not hell YouTube, hello YouTube. All right, submit. Let's go look at Embark. Whoa, look here. We see the transaction that went through. Tells us how much gas, which block, the function that we called. All right, great. And then we're gonna go ahead, let's read the message. Hello, YouTube. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So we were able to interact with our contract, we wrote our message to the blockchain, and we were able to read the state of the blockchain all through our web browser. Now, normally you would have to use like MetaMask or something like that to actually do these interactions, but Embark actually embeds some code that lets you interact with the blockchain with all these nice defaults, and you don't have to worry about addresses and signing contracts, purely for development purposes. If you were to actually, run this, you would see a little MetaMask pop up asking you to approve the transaction and all that stuff for when you hit submit. When you hit refresh, you don't have to deal with that because we're just reading from the blockchain. It doesn't cost any gas. There's no transaction or anything like that. So reading from the blockchain, when it's done by a human, is free. When it's done by a contract, it's not free, but we'll cover that in a future video. Anyway, let's just try writing one more message. I tried to upload the last video to DTube. It didn't work, and it took like 2 hours, so we're gonna go with hello BitChute. I don't know if I'll actually upload this to BitChute, but we click refresh. Hello BitChute, fantastic. So in this video, we built our web application that lets you interact, and we're well on our way to building our decentralized, censorship-proof message board. In the upcoming videos, we're gonna add all kinds of bells and whistles to our application here. We're gonna go back, we're gonna fix some issues that allow us to read any number of messages. We're gonna allow you to create new threads and be the owner of those threads and have some moderation abilities for the threads owner, of course. We're gonna allow you to upload images. We're gonna save everything to IPFS. We're gonna find out cool ways to save on gas costs. We're gonna find out how to actually deploy our application on the mainnet to Ethereum, and I'm gonna do it and you're gonna be able to see it. And I've got so much more planned. I've got a ton of other videos planned, so stay tuned to this channel, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please give me a like and a subscribe. That will help other people like you to be able to find this video and get the information they need. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.